Welcome to Uplift, inspiring stories to uplift the world. I am Gemma Serenity, your host, and today we have Lynn Pliska joining us, and I'm so happy and grateful because she has such an intuition, such a attuned spirituality. She actually spoke into my ancestors, led me to a specific gemstones. I got it, and it is all so much attuned to what I was going through at that moment in time. It's about a year ago, and it is transformational. This is why I wanted to bring her back on Uplift, inspiring stories to uplift the world this time, to actually have some of her energy to raise our spirits and to really like go from the 3D reality to the 5D reality. If you know what we talk about, you can also look that up. It's a real thing, and it is a very interesting experience that we're going through nowadays. Thank you, Lynn.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So my first question for you, how did you come how did you become aware of your spiritual attunement, I would say?
Okay. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate you. Um, when I really became aware of the gifts that keep growing, which is amazing, that's something we all can keep growing with, was probably about 2019. I was going through a very, very low point in my life, very depressed, a lot of stuff going on. And I kind of gave up on myself. And one night, all of a sudden, had an incident happen, and I said, you know what, I'm done with this. And I wanted to take and start figuring out who I was, because it seemed like there was a lot of stuff happening and I couldn't keep pointing outwards because I was a common denominator in it all. So I actually reached out to a life coach, and she helped me start looking at what they call shadow work for myself. So I started taking accountability for the things that I was doing, the energies I was carrying. Um, and then I met Reiki energy healing. Oh, that was beautiful. I felt so light, so lifted. And I just knew at that point after my first session that I had to learn how to incorporate this, how to help other people feel the way I just felt, because I've never felt like that in my life. Light, just peaceful. And I started going into Reiki energy healing, and then that spun into past life regression therapy and tarot reads and all of these gifts, claircognizance and clear audio, and everything started coming in as I did work on myself to like release and allow myself to shed all of the things that people kind of programmed into me since I was a kid. Um, and I started to connect deeper into source, then God, universe. And in that, I started to feel more like me and freer of having to do, say, and be what the world said I should be. And at first it's a little strange when you connect in and you're connecting with crystals and you're connecting with angels and guides, and you don't know where this information is coming from. A lot of people call it they call it intuition, and it's very beautiful when you start trusting your gut. You know how they always tell people to trust your gut. So it was kind of like I started trusting my gut, and I started speaking what I was hearing to people and kind of testing it out to see if, what spirit was giving me was was real. I mean, we do doubt ourselves at times. But the more spirit was being clear and allowing me to talk to people and to help heal people and walk the walk with them, the more it was the confidence of like, no, this is truth, this is what it is. And I stopped paying so much attention to the little things or the inadequacies in myself and other people, and I started just realizing that, for 43 years, I lived a life of work and do this, and this is how it's supposed to be. And there was no connection. And I would go for a walk every so often in nature. But now my world is nature. It is it is more illuminated by those gifts coming in. So primarily it was doing the work on myself to really take a look at who I was, who I really wanted to be, and what wasn't supposed to come with me into my next chapter. So that's pretty much where it started.
That is gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've heard a lot of times when people choose to let go of the rat race, that societal success in terms of better job, better career, corporate ladder, exactly what you are supposed to do according to other people's perspective, and to become 100% connected with your greatest potential, your true self, what you are called to be, your soul purpose, that kind of things.
Yeah.
The entire life changes for the better, for the better. And the other thing I can so much relate, I was attuned to the Reiki healing energy in 2018, and I had never heard of that
Yeah.
before the day prior to the attunement. I did just sign up to a shaman, I don't know what, a shaman person. And she had a mastermind group, and it was like $555 a month. And I said, but that's good. It will actually like help me grow and have another perspective. The first thing
Right.
she did was, okay, next thing we attune all of you to the Reiki energy healing. And I was like, the what? Okay, buy the book. Okay, I buy the book. And she said, and read the two first chapters so that you have a little bit of notion of what it is about. I started
Mhm.
to read the two first chapter. I actually finished the book at 2 a.m. because I couldn't stop it. It was suddenly like revelation after revelation after revelation. And you know exactly what I talk about. And when you mentioned Reiki, it's love, it's light, it's peace. These were the three words that came to me the day on the attunement: love,
and
light, peace.
and question for you too, when babies are born, love, light, and peace.
Indeed.
So it's like a reconnection it's like a reconnection into a rebirth of
Yes.
how we came into this world, because up to the point where most of us meet with Reiki energy healing, and that's not the only energy healing that will help this, that's just one modality. Um, but it brings you back to that space where you're able to attune into the energy of feeling new again, born again into who and what you're supposed to be. And that's when the journey starts. Would you agree? That's when the journey starts.
I agree. Um, it's interesting. The first day my life began again, I was 34 years old, and this is when I left domestic violence. The second day my life began again. I mean, upgraded in such a quantum jump way as well, was indeed when I was attuned to the Reiki energy. That has actually, by the way, started my real entrepreneurial journey, because from that moment I was there, I must serve. Before that, I had that fantasy dream, but suddenly it was like, oh wow, it has to be here, and now I must serve. I can
Yeah.
offer the Reiki, I can offer the music. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And this is how I got started. And then later on, realizing all that shadow work that you just mentioned as
Mm.
well, which is
The
crucial.
fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. All that shadow
But
work. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when you speak on shadow work, a lot of people, that's what stops people from stepping in. You don't need to have Reiki energy healing classes and so on and so forth. Everyone, I believe, has a part of their life where they get to a point where you said the word earlier, you have to surrender. And when you like surrender to rest, when you surrender to peace, when you surrender to that love and light, that's when it's quiet enough for you to actually see what's going on in front of you, what's going on within you. Because a lot of people don't realize, and this is something I'm sure you've learned when you connect in with your attunement with Reiki, is that everything that's going on inside of us reflects out and creates the world in front of us. So if you're flustered, you're rushed, you're depressed, it's just nonstop, 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 your whole world is going to be like that. And it's repetitive patterns that people don't notice. It's we keep choosing the same person in a different body. We keep choosing the same job, but with a better benefit, but it doesn't make us happy. We keep doing the same things over and over and over again until honestly, there comes that one point where you're like, can't do it anymore. I have to surrender to this and see where I'm being led. And everyone will have that point in their life. Some people it happens when they're 12. Some people it happens when they're 30. Some people it doesn't happen until they're 70, 80 years old. But blessed to be able to do that, you know
But
what I'm saying? And people shade away
totally.
from the shadow work because it's scary. It was scary. It's hard, it's scary. It makes you change everything because now you're here to serve. Now you take all of that selfishness out. It's the death of the ego, and the ego is easing God out. So, it's not religious either. God is an energy to me. To me, God is an energy. But, when you're ready to let go of that selfishness, and we're not selfish people by nature. We just try to get on the grab like everybody else. But when you're ready to let go of that and you start realizing that when you breathe, everyone else in the world is breathing with you. And we all affect each other with everything we do. That's when you go,
Mhm.
do I care enough about myself and the rest of the people around me to want us all to take and have peace and light and love and go back to that state, right?
Mm, mm. That's fabulous. Ego, easing God
Mhm.
out.
Yes.
Listen to that. Just like, let it sink in. Your ego
Mhm.
is easing God out, and you want God in. You want God within. You want to connect with the divine within. You don't want the divine to go away and to let you figure it all out by yourself because you cannot. You
Mhm.
think you can, but you cannot.
Yeah.
The only way to actually be good and accomplished and successful in every way is to let God in and to
And
connect
you
with
know
the
what?
divine in.
With, within you, exactly. And you know what? Like, I probably see God a little different than some people. Some people may believe the same, but I believe that, you know, um, the energy of God is within us. And we shut it down through that selfishness, through that greed, through that, all of the negative things, the negative energies, the anger, the frustration. It shuts that God in us down because God's energy is unconditional love. So if you're not giving yourself that love first, you're looking for it and you're putting it out everywhere and trying to bring it in, you are not focusing on how beautiful and amazing you are and allowing yourself to give that to yourself first. And that in itself, when you're not living like that, everything on the external is what's running you. There is no time for connection to yourself or to that God in you. So
Mm,
then it starts to diminish and your life and your world in front of your eyes starts to diminish and you keep having the same problems, the same issues, physical ailments come up, um, failed relationships, all of this. We're all on a journey of learning and it's a path for each of us to go whichever way we want to. But yeah, in the solar plexus area, right under the breastline and the stomach area, that houses a lot. That's your ego. That's your ego.
no,
And a lot of
that's
people that have ego will think that they don't. But God's energy always comes in at some point and breaks it so that, they can actually take a look at themselves and really have that love and not really have to walk around puffed up and egoic. There's no need for it. No one is trying to be better than anyone else. And if you are, well, positive things will come eventually.
it's true. So, question for you. When we want to connect with you, we have to go on lyfhealing.com. Life, but LYF, but also love you first, which is interesting, and also make me think about your names that start with LY as well, like Lynn. And now, tell us a little bit, how did all this bubble of goodness for your name and business name came through?
You know what? Actually, I have a career because you were talking a little bit, excuse me, talking a little bit earlier about how you come to a crossroad when you're told and you come to the point where you know you have to serve and your whole life changes. Like you're told to let go of that corporate job. You're told to let go of those people and certain family members and ideas. And it's a big stripping of everything. But I was at work one day and I started noticing that, you know what, I was really helping people. And some of my friends came to me and like, you should build a business. And I said, yeah, I should. And I said, what is the one thing that I feel has been my biggest problem throughout my life? And I said, you know what? I constantly give. I give, I give, I give. I'm a good person. And I kept saying, I'm a good person. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. But it was over giving. And I was blaming everyone else for all the lack that was in me because I didn't have any left for me. So that's when I said, I
Mm,
have to love me first. And with that, I'm like, huh. And God's honest, I had a pair of jogging pants from a company called Fly, and it's First Love You. And I looked at that and I'm like, love you, love me first. And I'm like, love. And that's how I got the LYF for love you first. And then a phoenix came out of nowhere to me. And I wasn't back then. I didn't really know too much about the phoenix. I just knew it flew from the ashes, so on and so forth. But I decided to put the phoenix on, and that has become very spiritually important for me because everything has been burning to ashes, and things in life will do that time and time again. We think you burn it down one time and you keep it moving. It is constant. So learning how to go with the flow of that. So really the idea and everything came together all for me recognizing my biggest fault was giving too much and not loving me enough. And then I started to look around and I realized how tired everyone else was, how drained they were, and how they were aggravated and angry and sad because they too had these big hearts and they were giving, 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 and they weren't receiving in balance, but they blamed everybody else, just like I was doing. So I was like, this is obviously an energy that needs to be looked at by all people so that they can start to heal and start to feel that peace and feel that love and follow into the surrender with faith instead of fear, you know?
I mean, thank you. Thank you for speaking into that. Because wearing our heart on a sleeve, being a shapeshifter, being a over pleasing everybody, like always pleasing everybody, or indeed over giving and then blaming for that lack that remains after you have given because you did not give with the expectation of receiving 10x. You gave freely to help others because you felt that others are way more important than you and you do not really matter in your own perception of yourself, in your own self-worth. And because of all of that together, and then expecting grace and blessings to come from those same people, and this is not how it works.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get the blessing back from the person whom you bless. Very rare. Oftentimes when you really like surrender to that law of giving and receiving, law of circulation, you actually activate all the giving and receiving because of the
Yes.
vacuum that you leave behind, that stays after you give, but that vacuum is expecting to be filled. And when we let go of the how and we just bask into that feeling of I am filled and fulfilled and I am complete and I keep on giving and it is just gorgeous, that is where we can actually experience the goodness of giving so that it is not over giving, it is a healthy ebb and flow of giving and
Be-
receiving. That is the balanced way of living.
it comes into awareness because it's actually a psychological thing when it goes down to the base of it is the not getting like all of the things that you needed as a child, whether it be love, attention, time, whatever it be. So that's why we become people pleasers. And we're always trying to give what we didn't have. And when you become aware of that, I always, it's kind of joke around, like, it's your life, you hire and fire as you please. You start to recognize the people around you that are takers. And it's not that these people are bad people. They learned something different, and they learned, excuse me, to take in and freely take. So when you start recognizing that, become aware of that, and you start to kind of put these boundaries or remove certain people from your life, you put the focus more on yourself and loving yourself. It's like a universal law. It's like attraction. You're like the magnet. And now when you give, you then get back. And it's not like you have to watch and be like, okay, you gave me $1 and I got to give you $1. It's, you start to see and make better decisions on the people that you have in your inner circle that are supporting you, because they too are in the same frequency as you if they're on the reciprocation aspect of life. Because not everybody is there, and it used to be very hard for me to accept from people as well. You'd be like, oh, I'll get your lunch. I'm like, no, I got it for you. I got it. I always had to, have the control, and I got it. And that right there too, it ties into another aspect where we want to control the situation and make ourselves feel better, or you know not be able to receive because we feel that we owe someone. It's not about owing someone every time they do something. It's about just seriously putting yourself in a space where you say, I am worthy of my lunch being bought today, and this person wants to do it. How amazing. And then what will happen is then you'll probably do that for someone else. And it continues on like a ripple amongst people. But you then become aware of the fact that, you know what, you were just in a place where you were trying to heal from some stuff. And those people that were around you at that point probably were trying to heal from the same. So you up level, you hire and fire accordingly, and then you allow yourself to surrender into the goodness of reciprocation. And that big heart can still be big, but you know what? You're smiling because someone else sees you too, and they're back and forth with you. So
Mm, mm. I love how you speak truth. Thank you so much, Lynn.
thank
Thank you
you.
for enlightening us and loving us with your perception, with your attunement, with your spiritual elevation. It's really, it feels good. Thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
lifehealing.com, LYF, like love you first, the three first
Yep.
letters,
Hmm.
healing.com, and we have Lynn Pliska with us today on Uplift, inspiring stories to uplift the world. And I will also list on the description down there your episodes that we did record on Real Talk, Real Women, Breaking the Silence Around Abuse, which is our other show here under GNS. So thank
Beautiful.
you again for being here today. You are a blessing, and thank you for blessing us in return.
Thank you. You are as well. Thank you.